A significant judicial development occurred in France recently. A court delivered its finding in the long-running embezzlement case involving Marine Le Pen and numerous officials associated with the National Rally Party. The court has found Le Pen guilty concerning the use of European Union funds designated for parliamentary aids between 2004 and 2016. The core of the case revolves around allegations that these EU funds were improperly directed to compensate personnel performing work for the political party itself, an action contrary to established EU regulations. Le Pen is one of 25 individuals implicated in this matter, spanning over a decade. Throughout the legal process, all defendants maintained their position, denying any wrongdoing or illegal action. While the court has established guilt, the specific sentence has not yet been announced. This pending decision holds critical weight, particularly regarding one potential sanction, a declaration of ineligibility to hold public office. Compounding the significance is the possibility, recently affirmed as constitutional by France's Constitutional Council, that such ineligibility could be enforced immediately, irrespective of any subsequent appeal. This specific potential outcome directly intersects with Le Pen's established political trajectory, having been the runner-up in the previous two presidential elections and positioning for a potential candidacy in 2027. The prospect of immediate ineligibility introduces a substantial variable into her political future, a scenario she herself characterized during the trial as potentially constituting political death. The situation now centers on the court's forthcoming sentencing decision and its precise ramifications, not only for the individuals involved, but for the operational landscape of French politics leading towards 2027. This finding of guilt, while significant, is only the initial stage. The true operational impact hinges on the sentencing details yet to be delivered by the court. Central to this is the potential for a period of ineligibility for public office. A sanction that, following a recent Constitutional Council ruling in a separate matter, could potentially be applied with immediate effect, even if an appeal is lodged. Such an immediate application would directly intercept Marine Le Pen's stated ambitions for the 2027 presidential contest, effectively removing her capacity to stand as a candidate. During the trial, she herself articulated the gravity of this potential outcome, arguing it would not only end her candidacy, but also disenfranchise the substantial voter base aligned with her movement. The legal proceedings themselves, spanning 9 weeks in late 2024, provided insight into the conflicting positions. Le Pen's defense contested the notion of a deliberate system designed to misuse EU funds. Instead, arguments were presented asserting the acceptability of adapting EU-funded aid roles to include political tasks pertinent to the party's activities at the time, known then as the National Front. Le Pen maintained throughout her testimony that no irregularity or illegal action occurred from her perspective. Conversely, evidence presented during hearings pointed to specific instances, such as EU funds being allocated for personnel like her bodyguard and personal assistant. Prosecutors built their case arguing for culpability, requesting specific sanctions. For Le Pen, this included a guilty verdict, a suggested 2-year prison sentence, and crucially, a 5-year period of ineligibility. Le Pen countered this by suggesting the prosecution's focus was primarily aimed at preventing her presidential run. The prosecution also sought convictions for all 24 co-defendants and proposed a substantial financial penalty against the National Rally Party itself, potentially impacting its future operational resources. Should the court impose immediate ineligibility, the leadership dynamics within the National Rally would necessarily shift. Jordan Bardella, who took over party leadership from Le Pen in 2021 and is frequently described as her protégé, stands as the apparent successor in line for a potential 2027 candidacy under the party banner. The entire situation underscores the direct linkage between judicial processes concerning financial conduct and the concrete operational possibilities available to political figures and parties. The final sentence remains the decisive factor determining the immediate path forward. However, the defendant's perspective, maintained throughout the proceedings, presents a different interpretation of these actions. Their position rested on the argument that the use of parliamentary aids involved a degree of flexibility necessary for effective political work, denying any deliberate scheme to illegally divert funds. Le Pen specifically testified to a belief that no rules were broken, framing the issue as one of acceptable operational adaptation rather than embezzlement. This contrasts sharply with the prosecution's portrayal of a structured system designed over years to channel EU resources for the party's benefit, citing specific uses like funding for personal staff. The legal reality now presents two potential immediate trajectories, depending on the sentence. One path involves the imposition of immediate ineligibility, a measure validated constitutionally, which would directly block Le Pen's 2027 presidential run regardless of appeals. The alternative path, should immediate ineligibility not be imposed or if sentencing is delayed pending appeals, allows her political activities to continue for the time being, though under the shadow of the conviction and potential future sanctions, including prison time up to 10 years. The appeal process itself offers another layer of contrast. While it provides recourse against the verdict and sentence, initiating it would lead to another trial, extending the legal uncertainty. From Le Pen's stated viewpoint during the trial, the prosecution's focus, particularly the request for ineligibility, was interpreted as being politically motivated, aimed more at electoral exclusion than pure legal restitution. She framed the potential consequence of ineligibility not just as personal, political death, but as a move that would deprive millions of her supporters of their chosen candidate. This narrative stands opposed to the judicial perspective, which operates within the framework of laws governing the use of public funds and the associated penalties for misuse, irrespective of the defendant's political stature or voter base. The consequences, therefore, extend beyond the individual legal jeopardy faced by Le Pen and the 24 co-defendants. They encompass potential financial penalties for the National Rally Party itself, potentially hindering its operational capacity, and the clear possibility of a forced transition in leadership, accelerating the prominence of Jordan Bardella should Le Pen be sidelined from the presidential race. Examining the core of the dispute requires acknowledging the specific actions under scrutiny. The allegation, now validated by the court's guilty finding, centers on whether EU funds explicitly intended for parliamentary assistance were systematically channeled towards domestic party operations. This distinction is critical. The defense argued for a functional overlap, where aide's work inherently supported the political objectives represented by the party. The court's finding, however, implies this crossed a legal boundary, classifying the practice as misuse rather than acceptable flexibility within the EU framework. The lengthy timeframe involved from 2004 to 2016 suggests this was not viewed by the prosecution or the court as isolated incidents, but rather as an established operational pattern during that period. This timeframe encompasses a significant portion of Le Pen's rise within the party structure, culminating in her leadership from 2011. Therefore, the verdict attaches legal responsibility for practices occurring both before and during her tenure as party leader. Beyond the immediate electoral implications for 2027, the verdict itself establishes a judicial record concerning the financial management practices of the National Rally during this era. This may have broader repercussions for the party's image and its relationship with regulatory bodies, independent of the specific sanctions imposed. The potential €2 million fine against the party entity underscores this institutional aspect, treating the party itself as liable, not just the individuals. Such a penalty could demonstrably affect the party's financial health and campaigning ability moving forward. Furthermore, this case highlights the inherent tension between the operational demands of national political parties and the specific, often restrictive, regulations governing the use of transnational funds like those from the European Parliament. The court's decision reinforces the primacy of those EU regulations over perceived national political necessities argued by the defense. The outcome serves as a significant data point regarding the legal risks associated with managing EU parliamentary resources and the potential for severe political consequences stemming from judicial findings of financial impropriety. Stepping back from the immediate legal arguments, the broader strategic implications for the French political system become apparent. Marine Le Pen has consistently occupied a central position in recent electoral cycles, securing the runner-up spot in the last two presidential contests. Her party has demonstrated observable growth in electoral support during this period. Consequently, the court's finding introduces a significant element of disruption into the anticipated dynamics of the 2027 presidential race. The potential removal of a figure who has twice been the primary challenger fundamentally alters the projected field of candidates and the strategic calculations of other political forces. Should the sentence include immediate ineligibility, it would precipitate a major shift within the national rally itself. While Jordan Bardella is positioned as the successor, the removal of the party's established figurehead under such circumstances could reshape internal power dynamics and potentially alter the party's trajectory and public appeal. The question then arises regarding the substantial of the electorate that has previously supported Le Pen. Her argument regarding potential disenfranchisement highlights the uncertainty surrounding how this base might react, whether it consolidates behind a successor like Bardella, fragments, or seeks alternative political representation. This judicial outcome, particularly when coupled with the Constitutional Council's prior validation of immediate ineligibility, sets a notable precedent. It underscores the power of judicial findings concerning financial conduct to directly intervene in the electoral process by impacting the eligibility of prominent political actors, even before the exhaustion of all appeal avenues. Ultimately, the precise nature and timing of the sentence will determine which of these potential implications transition from possibility to operational reality, shaping the immediate future of the national rally and the contours of the next presidential election cycle. Thus, the judicial finding stands as a confirmed fact, yet its full operational weight remains suspended, awaiting the court's final determination on sentencing. The core uncertainty revolves around the specific penalty, particularly the activation of immediate ineligibility, a mechanism now constitutionally affirmed as applicable. This single variable holds the potential to decisively reshape the French political terrain ahead of 2027, directly impacting the viability of a recurrent presidential contender, and thereby altering the electoral calculus for all other actors. Consequently, attention shifts not only to the fate of the individual, but also to the internal dynamics and succession planning within the national rally, placing unforeseen emphasis on figures like Jordan Bardella. Beyond the immediate political drama, this case solidifies the legal parameters governing the use of supranational funds and establishes a clear precedent for the capacity of judicial processes concerning financial conduct to directly intersect with and potentially curtail high-level political careers. The forthcoming sentence, therefore, represents more than just a legal conclusion. It is the action that will translate these complex interdependencies and potential strategic shifts into concrete political reality. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this analysis, and be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more geopolitical insights like this. I love hearing your thoughts, so drop a comment below and let's keep the conversation going. Share this video with anyone interested in deeper perspectives on current events. Until next time, stay informed and think critically. Thank you.